I have talked in the past about how much money the Warriors spend. The Clippers spend, their payroll this year is $198 million before taxes. And this is what I mean by building the depth. They have not only have they signed a bunch of role players, but they've signed them to a bunch of contracts that are tradable in use. And not only that, but because they're a couple of years off of the big trade that they made with the Thunder to acquire Paul George, they actually have some distant first-round picks that they can add. And so they are, and I keep bringing this up because I think that there is going to be what I suspect will happen this year. There are too many good teams. Too many teams are invested in winning. The lottery is very good, and my suspicion is that some team, 1 to 3 teams, are going to get into January and realize it ain't happening for us, and we need to retrofit. And I think there's going to be some teams that are sellers at midseason. And so what I think is that there could be a trade or two midseason that could really affect this. So Paul George and Kawhi Leonard both make $43 million. By the way, this is a strange little thing. Paul George makes $76 more than Kawhi does this year. $76.
I think Kawhi would be okay with that.
Let it be known.
Some other players might not. Some other alpha players might not be okay with that.
That's true.
I think Kawhi would be okay with that.
So they have the following players under contracts between 10 and 16 million. Norman Powell, two-way wing, valued. Marcus Morris, combo forward, didn't have a great year last year, but has value. Luke Kennard, who is a shooter, has value. We're not talking about guys who are trading for Kevin Durant, but Robert Covington, the instant they signed to that contract extension last year, I was like, well, that's signed to be traded. The guy gets traded every about 9 months anyway. Reggie Jackson, Nick Batum, Ivica Zubac, and they also signed Terrence Mann. His contract he had signed an extension, it doesn't go up, but he's on an attractive tradable contract. And then, of course, they have Brandon Boston, who's young but was an attractive piece. So in addition to them having all of these different guys that they can play Ohm, which is what Ty Lue's job is to figure it out, they could improve throughout the season.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's so smart about them. When they acquired Norm Powell, I remember telling someone in the front office with the Clippers, you guys got Robert Covington. You could trade him right now. You could swap him for something else before the trade deadline.
Yeah, that trade.
He's an asset.
That's a classic example. They were not really going anywhere last year, although they weren't they hadn't given up hope. But that trade was a midseason trade. They took on a whole bunch of money with the Blazers, and they did it because they could. Yeah. Because they had they don't have to worry about money.
Yeah, they sent out Eric Bledsoe in that trade. Eric Bledsoe and Justice Winslow. The Clippers have been very smart about trying to kind of replenish their assets. They gave up a lot of first-round picks for Paul George, but they now have all these manageable contracts that they can ship out in packages. They have second-round picks, I believe, and they got some distant first-round picks, so if they want to improve, they can. But this roster, of 15 deep, I think the Clippers are going to actually need to use that early in the season. Their first 3 months is jam-packed with games. They got 15 back-to-backs. 11 of them come before February 1. So that is a lot of back-to-back games. I wonder how much of that is
because they have disadvantageous. They have they're sort of sitting third at the table.
Yeah,
at Crypto
and they're all building. Yeah,
because the Kings also, the LA Kings, who actually sort of own the building.
Yeah, own the building. Yeah. So I think what you're going to see is a minutes restriction probably.
Definitely.
For Kawhi Leonard. John
He'll have
Wall.
a minutes restriction the rest of his career.
John Wall has played 40 games in 3 seasons.
Right.
He's worked out
That's a free roll.
But these are guys that you're going to have to manage them, and I think this has become like a broken record for the Clippers. Okay, but we talk about this every time come playoff time. Where's their chemistry? Where's their health? And because you have all these guys, Ty Lue's I can hear Ty Lue already saying it already. Well, I didn't have these guys, and I'm mixing and matching, but we got to get our chemistry right come playoff time. The Clippers are probably going to have that same issue, but it's a good issue to have because they have so many guys. We could talk about going into camp. Who's going to be their starting point guard, Reggie Jackson or John Wall? I think it's going to be Reggie Jackson. Keeps him in a good state of mind. He's been a big contributor for them. Bring John Wall off the bench.
I have no idea what John Wall's going to do. I just want to be clear. I have no idea.
I mean, he looks good on those videos, but everybody looks good on those videos.
Listen, John Wall, he only played 40 games for the Rockets, but he still has juice. There's still gas left in the tank. He's not perennial all-star John Wall. He'll never be that guy again. But for a taxpayer mid-level.
Less than that, wasn't it? Or did they give him the
I
whole
think it was a taxpayer mid-level. Like, dude, that's a nice addition. He's going to be able to definitely push the pace. You know, he's a great passer. I think he's going to help them. But I agree with you, Ohm. Yes, it is about having the ability to maybe put together some trade package. That's certainly it's nice to have that kind of flexibility, those kind of options. It's nice to have the ability to play a lot of different ways, a lot of different styles. They can play, you know, they can play traditional big. They can go, and it's not even small ball. It's just
long ball,
6-7 across the board.
It's
They
long
can
ball.
play all these different styles. So you can go matchup by matchup once you get to the playoffs. But it's also, this depth is going to allow them to kind of pace themselves throughout the season. When right now Kawhi's going to sit out 15 or 20 games.
Yeah.
Even if he's completely healthy.
You know what?
Paul
Kawhi
George
should
probably
never
too.
play a back-to-back again in his career.
There's no point in it.
And he should be on minutes restrictions till the playoffs.
And now, when Kawhi's sitting out because it's a back-to-back, there's quality players that are filling those minutes.
You know what I think I can see them looking at come trade deadline is an athletic shot blocker. They don't really have that. Zoo is their one big guy.
Well, that's what they always want. That's what they wanted Ibaka to be.
Right.
But
They'll
it
need
didn't
help
work out.
on the glass, rebounding. They'll need somebody to block shots and kind of intimidate inside. And so, if somebody comes open, come trade deadline, I could see them pouncing on something like that.
Yeah. So they're going to be a team that we're going to be watching very closely.